Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This book was originally published in 2017. So diving right into an overview of the book, it's about two teen boys, Mateo and Rufus. They get phone calls from Deathcast, which is a service that notifies people on their date of death. The two boys meet through an app called Last Friend that's designed for folks who get this call, and they develop a relationship as they embark on a mission to live today to the fullest. Next, I want to talk about the plot and pacing of the story. They Both Die at the End is written with a shifting narrator. The whole story takes place within a 24-hour period, and each chapter details the time of day. So as you continue to read this story, your paranoia of the character's potential pending doom continues to grow along with their own anxieties. The narration is mostly consistent with Mateo and Rufus's perspectives. However, there are other characters thrown in who you learn about Mateo and Rufus affect throughout the story, either consciously or unconsciously. The pacing is really quick and the writing is super easy to follow. It's laid out as a really exciting adventure, which you dive into almost immediately. So our two main characters, as we already said, are Mateo, who is a shy, quiet, shut-in. He is super paranoid about the world, and he doesn't have very many relationships outside of his comatose father and his best friend. Rufus, our other main character, is super charismatic and does have a solid group of friends. However, he's battling with his own internal demons and fighting over grief from losing his family and struggling with survivor's guilt through that loss. The two boys are definitely super different. However, as you continue to read the story, you notice how their differences complement one another, and we get to see how much they grow as people through their relationship together. So talking about some of the aspects I thought were really good about this story, number one, as we said, the pacing is super good. I felt like this is super helpful for this story, especially because the subject matter could potentially be so heavy and depressing. However, the writing style and the story are super exciting. So as a reader, you don't really have a chance to think about how sad the situation is because you're kind of too invested in what's going to happen next. Secondly, the relationship between the two boys is really endearing. Not only do we see how much they grow as individuals, but they're also a really good example of how to truly live every moment to the absolute fullest. Now to touch on some of the points of the story I didn't like quite as much. So number one, there are definitely elements of the story that are lacking some realism, particularly in the dialogue. Rufus is supposed to come off as kind of a street smart, rough around the edges kid, but the author's dialogue for Rufus can feel at times really dated and corny. Secondly, in a similar vein, sometimes the story progression defies logic. So either through characters making dumb or just unrealistic decisions. And when I was thinking about this could be in relation to the characters potentially not thinking logically simply due to the shock and the extreme stress of the situation that they're in. However, at some points, I definitely thought it was more about pushing the plot along than trying to depict a super realistic chain of events. So going into my overall thoughts, it's definitely a super interesting concept. I really enjoyed the way that the story was structured. I thought the changing narration was super refreshing and definitely adds a deeper element of the connection between all the characters in the story. I think the time stamping of the chapters was a super effective tool because it helps to really build the anticipation and the anxiety along with the characters so that the emotional impact is much more powerful. In general, I don't love the subject matter, but I do think that the lessons the author is trying to impart are super valuable ones, including live every day to the fullest and don't worry so much about what others think. I'd recommend this book to folks who are looking for a light, thought-provoking read, but probably not for folks who are trying to steer clear of subject matter about grief and death. Thanks so much for watching my review today. Have you read They Both Die at the End? I'd love to know your thoughts on this book. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you totally disagree with everything I said? Please leave a comment below, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Bye.